we take up this patient
from my own understanding, what he was trying to convey is, do not give 10 milligram vitamin K, because subsequently when you start on anticoagulation, it takes around 2 to 3 weeks to deplete the available vitamin K. Am I right?
Yeah,
so you start with a smaller dose, which is enough to restore the levels of vitamin K required for maintaining INR of 1.5. Am I right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's what he is trying to convey. So if you give a 10 milligram dose of vitamin K, your anticoagulation drugs to deplete it, to bring the INR to 2.8 to 3.5 may take around 3 weeks to 2 weeks time. And that's the understanding. Am I right? Sure. Shall we go to the next slide? No, go to the previous slide. So I did not do any endoscopic intervention. I only had the background information. I needed to know what's happening there. And he is already in one acute event. I don't want to precipitate second acute event. So we kept him under observation. Next. He was maintained on an INR of 2.8 to 3.5. And now to Dr. Sundarakanan. So what is your dose of azithromycin or warfarin you will try to give? How will you maintain? What is the maintainable INR on this patient? Is 2.8 to 3.5 all right? And if it goes higher or if it is less, how will you titrate it? Is it on a daily basis or is it on a weekly basis? How will you titrate the dose? And how do you monitor PT on a daily basis, weekly basis, or once in month?
Yeah. The
Next slide.
most important issue with warfarin is it is not dependent on any weight or age. So you can't determine the dose of vitamin warfarin on basis of any parameters. You have to, in elderly people, it is advisable to start with 3 milligram, whereas in younger patients, we start with 5 milligram. Remember, you have to have heparin before starting warfarin, because warfarin is necessary for the production of not only the coagulants, for anticoagulants also. So when you initiate warfarin, it first reduces the protein C, protein S levels. So the patient becomes prothrombotic. So that is why warfarin should be always be initiated under cover of heparin. And till the INR becomes therapeutic, you have to have heparin on flow. And the second thing is, as I said, you start with 3 milligram and test INR on day 3. And from day 3, you keep on increasing the dose by 1 milligram. Suppose if you have 1.8, you increase by 1 milligram till you get 2.5 or 3, whatever is required. Or if you end up with the 5 on day 3, you keep reducing by 1 milligram till you reach the INR level.
This is an inpatient on a daily basis.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
And once you reach a targetable INR, which may be 2.5 to 3.5, you have to monitor weekly for further 2 weeks. And then if he maintains the same level, then you can monitor once in 4 weeks. But you have to warn the patient that if whenever, because this warfarin can be the drug level can be affected by various drugs as well as by food. He has to avoid cabbage and greens, should not take in a large amount. And whenever he has fever, take antibiotics, he has to check the INR, because he may have to alter the dose transiently whenever he is on antibiotics.
Now that alteration, how do we do? Because many times we see 3 milligram, we are able to achieve 2.8 INR. Same patient is same 3 milligram, next month comes with a 1.5 or 1.6 INR. Sometimes he comes with 5 INR. How do we adjust the dose? As an outpatient?
As an outpatient, I said, if you monitor him in the initial 2 weeks, you know that the disease is baseline. In between, the gross changes happen due to the patient's lifestyle. So that sometimes it's very difficult to help. And suppose if the INR is changed due to drug, then it is very easy, because he's taking antibiotics and his vitamin K depleted, his INR goes to 5 or 6. Then ask him to reduce the dose for a couple of days. Once he's off antibiotic, he can go back to the same dose which he was taking before.
Okay. So I remember reading in a journal that as an outpatient, if you want to titrate the INR to optimal levels or the anticoagulants, you need to calculate the weekly dose. And from the weekly dose, you reduce by around 10 to 25%. And probably not on a daily. Like if you are placing them on a 4 milligram azithromycin, then don't reduce to 3 milligram azithromycin daily. You calculate for 7 days. 7 into 4 is 28. You reduce around 2.8 to 3 milligrams in that. And then you reduce on Saturday and Sunday, you take 2 milligrams. That's one article that has come up like that. Next.
Just a doubt, sir.
Now that we know this patient has got varices, both gastric varices and esophageal varices, does it influence your dosing of this warfarin? Do you want to maintain it around INR around 3 or slightly lower than that?
Well,
I'll put the questions in another way. Now we are in a salvage operation. Salvage is maintaining the viability of the intestines. That's our priority. You have an added risk of bleed from esophageal varices. So does your dose take into consideration, apart from intestinal viability, the esophageal varices also?
well, it's the thing. You have to balance your tight dose based on whether you have increased thrombotic risk or increased bleeding risk. Suppose if a patient has a mild thrombosis and
No, here is a patient who has already thrombosed. Here is a patient who has at-risk varices. That's
here
it.
I will start with 2.5 to 3.5. There are cases wherein patients re-thrombose again and again, and especially in patients with antiphospholipid syndrome, where you have to maintain a very high INR of even 4, and sometimes it may be difficult to maintain INR at that stage. In that patient, we ask them to convert to low molecular weight heparin and continue low molecular weight heparin for a longer time.
So now I think he was discharged and he was on a regular follow-up. In 2007 he came with a massive bleed. Now what will be the timing of gastroscopy to madam, and when to do EVL or glue? Will you try to do both together in a single setting or in a sequential settings? Can we say he at that point of admission had a 100% chance of death? And how do we tackle this procoagulant state at this point of time? Next slide, ma'am.
This patient, I mean, right at the beginning, I would have attacked the varices first and then proceeded for anticoagulants.
So I think this point is contestable again. I will place it to the audience for voting.
Yeah,
How many of you will agree on prophylactic EVL, holding back anticoagulants for a day or two, and then starting anticoagulants along with heparin? How many of you are in agreement? Hematologist Dr. C.J. Natarajan.
First of all, I would like to know about the INR. The definition of INR being at the level in the we do the patients program in time divided by ISI is equal to. There are different brands of ISI marked as there are control 1.1, 1, 1.6, 2. We do not know. Start analyze. If you use 1, the INR will be less. If you use 2.1, it will be less. So, what ISI to be used prior to anticoagulation?
Sir, sorry
And
for
another ISI, which ISI to be used during oral anticoagulation? Because this is very important. Many of the physicians missed because of the intrigued result, patient die of thromboembolic mantle.
So yeah, I think our question was very specific. How many of you in the audience will do a prophylactic endovaricose ligation and glue injection to the fundal varices and subsequently place the patient on anticoagulation? Can you please raise your hands?
It's got deficiency of one of these. What would you do? Would you attack the varices first, or you treat the patient with anticoagulant?
Prothrombotic.
That is the issue.
Yeah, that's fine. Prothrombotic workup, generally you don't get results. Even in this patient, we are going to say
So
the results are not available even after.
Even then, he's got an acute thrombotic episode. Leave
Yes,
the
ma'am.
procoagulant.
Yes,
Leave
ma'am.
the thromboembolic
Yes, ma'am.
processes.
Only-
Patient has got
yeah.
acute thrombotic process.
Yes, ma'am.
Patient has come with grade 3 varices with Wales
Yes.
sign.
So I think my
In clinical
consideration,
practice, what would you do?
Yeah, my consideration-
That should be the concurrence of the audience.
so my consideration at the initial point was only one. He had a symptom for which he has come. I wanted to address that symptom, and other thing I kept under observation. And now he has presented with another symptom. The first symptom that he came with is currently not there. It's quiescent or stable, or it's not there right now. So currently he is on anticoagulants. He has bled now. That's the question. And now I think there is no question. We will have to do an apagioscopy, and we have wider options available. Next one. At this point of time, if I am fearful of doing an endoscopy, is there a way for a radiological intervention? Or if the bleed is not settling with the endoscopic process, therapeutic endoscopic intervention, will you do is there a chance of a radiological intervention? Mike, please.
What I was thinking, if the patient had presented earlier, when there is acute or subacute phase of portal venous thrombosis.